What's up, guys? This is Dave from The Disorderly. I'm joined once again by our good buddy, friend of the show, Andrew Volpe, and the lovely Ash, as fairly regularly. I would say as always, but sometimes not always. And if you hear faint snorkeling in the background, it's our, what is he, 10 going on 11?
No, almost 10.
Almost 10. Hanging in there like a champ. Kuntash, our French bulldog. So he's snoring away on the couch. Please enjoy that. But today we're going to go over, let's see, I mean, one of the most disappointing movies of my 2018. I don't know about you guys, but Shane Black's The Predator. Huge Predator mark. Love The Predator. Love the IP. Love the comics. Love the toys. Love the movies. Whatever you got. Even the crappy, horrible video games, I've dabbled. So, I'm an apologist for even some of the AVP movies that were out in the mid to late 2000s. Big fan of Shane Black for the most part. And then this. I mean, how do you feel, Mr. Volpe?
I felt like this was an extremely mixed bag for me because I totally feel you. I'm a Predator fan through and through for many years, and I went into this one with just trying to tamper my expectations to really like not expect much because in preparation for this I watched the previous three, and Predator 2 and Predators aren't great movies. I would say both of them, they have their charms, but they're not great. And I would probably put this in with those two. They're all kind of bad in different ways, but I still find myself like things to like about them, mostly because I was a fan of that IP growing up and like reading the comics and watching the movies over and over again. So even though the execution isn't always great, there are aspects of it that I like, but there's a lot of bad stuff too. And it definitely seems like it was focus tested to death pretty bad.
You think the execs, the Fox execs who have a spotty at best record, I'd say, right now, coming off the absolutely abysmal X-Men recent kind of series of movies and things like that that just kind of are, there's a reason your business was up for sale, right? For what, going on a year or something like that, So, I mean, this was just all over the place, dude. Just, you know what I mean? I mean, I just want to talk about kind of the general story. This is a full spoilers.
Oh yeah,
full spoilers going into everything, but. I mean, I was lost like pretty early on. I don't know about you.
I would say the plot doesn't matter in this movie so much that the movie almost admits it. Like, I felt like all the dialogue scenes, it's like, I feel like one of the movie's good points is that there is a lot of action to distract you from how stupid the plot is. Because I think when I was in the movie, I didn't mind it. It's when, like, 5 minutes after I walked out of the movie, I realized most of the stuff that I saw didn't make sense. Like, most of the character motivations didn't make sense. And, there's definitely, like, a 20 minutes or so missing from the movie. That scene where they're in the motel, and then all of a sudden they have an RV, and it's like, and I guess somebody mentioned something about hot wiring something or other, but really could have used just like a shot or two of them going up to the cars beforehand, because that was kind of jarring. And there was a few instances like that all over. Like, was it crazy? Did you guys feel like that too, or?
No.
I mean, I felt like that at the end, or not at the end, but with the scene where they're, kind of ending up the action, and then they just cut and go to like, oh, we discovered this pod, and your son's now working for us. I'm like, what? Wait, what happened here?
Yeah,
how much time has passed?
That felt like very jarring, like very reshooty.
Yes.
And I don't know. I think at that point I was just accepting that this is how dumb the movies were going to be, but Did you guys like the whole Predator killer suit, or did you?
I felt like everything looked pretty horrible. Like it didn't even look good. You know what I mean? Did you feel? I mean, they kind of painted themselves into a corner where they go, all right, well, listen, how do we one up? You know, having we have a 7 foot tall predator creature.
Right.
Which we can do, and then we're like, well, let's get a 10, 11 foot tall one.
Yeah.
Well, how do you do that? Okay, well, then it's gonna have to be kind of fully CG,
right,
or not look like it can move when it's a practical suit. And so when it called for this thing to be pretty mobile, as the Predator do, you know, it looked absolutely shitty.
I feel like you didn't get a good look on the large Predator really at all.
They kept it dark.
Yeah.
They kept the profile pretty damn dark. And then it looked pretty shitty. And they did it with the dogs, too. I thought the dogs looked like shit.
Yeah, the dogs were terrible. Like, the dogs, I felt like they were going to try to make them too cutesy. And you didn't really get a good look at them until later on. And I think that's because they look so crappy. Like...
I was like, the actual Predator hounds in Predators that came out in 2009 or something looked better than this.
Yeah, and they did not look great, but they at least tried to make them look different from the actual Predators. Like, I loved how they just gave the dogs dreadlocks too, because everything's got to have.
No, well, but they were basically the damn monsters from Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, that's funny.
Are they not just the same damn thing?
Yeah, I could see that.
So. It was, you know, it was wild, man. You know what I mean? The plot's all over the place. It's abysmal. The Olivia Munn, people are saying Olivia Munn was miscast. That's a polite way of putting it.
Yeah.
Because I don't know where you put Olivia Munn anymore.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean?
I feel like was
she miscast in Mordecai and as Psylocke? Like, I mean, Olivia Munn is the girl that got famous for eating hot dogs hanging off string and wearing a maid outfit and jumping into a giant kiddie pool of pudding and stuff, right?
Okay,
but like now she's a movie
was
star.
she that bad at Psylocke? Like, she had 3 lines in that movie, so I mean,
well, I'm just so I just don't know. Like, people are like, she was miscast.
Yeah.
I go, well, what is her?
I feel like her character was
niche?
not a great character to begin with.
I mean, the world-renowned, a 26-year-old world-renowned bio engineer, or whatever the hell she is,
yeah.
And then I'm just like, listen, what do you want me to? Do you want me to believe that Olivia Munn is one of the greatest minds the earth has to offer, or okay, like you have me there, maybe, but please don't have me try to believe that she's also a ninja.
Yeah, I mean
who can shoot MP5.
Like that's the thing that got me is like, where did
her
her fucking military training come from? Because it's all this.
She learned a lot.
Yeah, she was great with like killing motherfuckers
minutes.
with a trank gun, and she seemed extremely like. And I had heard that her intro scene was the thing that was cut because of the sex offender was in it.
Her what scene?
Yeah, her intro scene. Like, did you notice how the scene?
Oh, did you think they reshot that?
No,
part,
no. Apparently,
no. They didn't have time.
You heard about the whole thing where like the Olivia.
I've heard about it.
Yeah,
it's only been the most like the biggest story of the whole week about destroying this horrible film. Basically.
Yeah, I feel like that's I'm pretty sick of hearing about it by now. But basically, apparently
Olivia Munn's a victim, Andrew. So you need to. You know what I mean, she had to stand with a guy around 100 other people.
But we have
you know
no
what I mean?
idea
So
what he did.
Let's just calm down. Well, he's an absolute horrible person, I'm sure. Mm-hmm. But like, let's just give her some time to reflect on what she had to go through. Mm-hmm. Okay? On a film set, So, who's the poor girl that Marlon Brando raped? Remember that? Like that's like there's horrible things that have happened, you know what I mean? Like in the grand scheme of things on film sets, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like you had to act with a guy that was horrible. I don't know, whatever. Olivia, I just don't know. Like, I don't know what. I couldn't care less. Like, whatever. I have no idea where she kind of goes. Like, I found her so incredibly wooden in this whole movie.
I would say she's like almost on par. I wish that the movie had just focused on the dudes in the bus and maybe they could have refined the characters of the dudes in the bus a little bit more, because all the side things weaken the movie. And honestly, I didn't mind too much of it until they got to the kid, and the whole my kid is autistic, like that whole subplot felt so hackneyed. That was the one thing that I really couldn't like forgive the movie for. Like it just every part of it felt like such bullshit, and it felt really out of place in a Predator movie too. Like I felt like that was focus tested sentimentality, and I don't know. There's like
it was interesting. Yeah, it was kind of weird because the kids, he has Asperger's, right? Because that's what the bullies
said
the
on
bully
the spectrum, but they called him a nickname for Asperger's.
Well, they're like, I'm hungry for an Asperger.
Yeah.
The kids, right? So I assume like, oh, is that Shane Black's way of telling us?
Yeah.
He has Asperger's?
There was a joke later on too with a nickname that was shortened for Asperger's. I don't remember. When he like right before
he blew up the
when he blew up the house.
Let's talk a second. Who this what does your brain come to a screeching halt when you see scenes? It's Halloween. A kid is trick-or-treating. He dares to ring your doorbell on Halloween, so you assault him.
Yeah.
You assault like an 8-year-old or 9-year-old by throwing something at his head. Mm-hmm. And I went, I don't know, man.
I mean,
you're really taking me out.
If you're that big of a piece of shit, you get blown up. Clearly, that is the rules of
house?
this universe. So
like, all right, there's just a few moments that I just.
My question then goes to the mom. If your kid is.
Oh
right,
yeah,
so
why was the mom not
just,
there?
Just wanders away.
Yeah, mom of the year.
Well, he's not old enough to pick out his own Halloween costume. He is old enough to wander the streets of.
And she doesn't know that he left,
right?
Yeah.
So,
or what he was wearing.
Whatever.
I mean, the mom is barely in this movie. I feel like the mom, like, really, they're just like, okay, we're gonna keep her in just long enough to throw the phone in the garbage disposal.
Did either of you guys? Did you catch what the note said when he got home that day? Did it say, "If you mess up the house, I will cut you"?
Yeah,
Yes, it did.
Because I was like, I didn't read that.
Yeah.
Right? It says, "I will cut you."
I will cut
Yeah.
you.
If I spent 2 hours cleaning the house.
Yeah.
If you screw it up, I will cut you. That's what she left her son.
I kind of laughed at that.
But I was like,
But
is that what it said? Because it went real fast.
Yeah,
right?
they kind of wait from
love
it too
mom
fast.
at the bottom.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, love mom. Okay.
I don't know how that's funny.
Yeah, I don't know, man. A lot of people are not really enjoying and embracing kind of the humor. They think it's kind of like, I don't know.
There's
I mean,
way too
Predator,
much of it for sure.
Yeah, there's a
but
lot
that's the
of
thing.
it,
The
man,
thing is,
know?
I'd say like 1 out of every 5 jokes land, and I think like somebody put it a good way, because like Shane Black was on the first Predator for Punch Up, so he was the one like probably inserting a few of the good one-liners in there. But the thing is, it worked because they would be like little pieces of humor interspersed with all the really tense scenes and everything. So now it's just every scene is like full of zippy one-liners and all that sort of stuff, and so it definitely takes a lot of the tension out of it. But
yeah, I don't know, man. I feel like they made Keegan Michael.
Yeah, he had too many lines.
They just kind of like.
Which one was that?
He was.
Key and Peele.
Not that. Yeah, Keegan Michael Key. He was one of the anonymous, like
the one
you
that's always
never
making
really,
your mom jokes and
yeah, he was the
screwing
one
with the
making
dude with
horrible jokes from
Asperger's.
like
The ones that had Tourette's?
No, the guy
no.
giving the dude with Tourette's
that was
shit.
yeah,
was Thomas Jane.
Remember they were like
his good friend that was
they were
teasing
hetero
him?
life partners
Yes.
basically. Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah, I mean his jokes, the circumcision joke, like I remember that from high school. You know what I mean?
There's a
So,
few.
like,
I'd say like 1 out of every 5 of those jokes landed for me. Like most of those were like pretty shitty, but then every once in a while I got one that made me chuckle. But there was so many of them, and I know they were trying to go for the '80s action movie trope of like you have a team of people and all of them have like literally one character trait to identify them.
Right.
But they're
the guy from Game of Thrones likes pickles.
yeah.
Oh, thank you. That's finally where he's from.
I just thought
Staring at him like, who was that?
Big,
I thought it
big
was
pickle
just-
eater. That was his superpower.
I thought
his quirk.
he had an accent. That's all you need, right? That counts as a quirk.
Right.
Where you're from.
He's the British guy.
He didn't even like have a.
What did they try to explain? His skill is blowing up mountains or something, right? Or
something like that.
I mean, what was his? Yeah, what was his super like?
Didn't he blow up all his tankers, but he survived?
No, that was key. That was key.
Okay.
Yeah, no, it's pretty memorable.
Yeah,
don't
very memorable.
don't hold yourself to it. But no, I mean, it was. You don't really spend much time with them in a way that makes them endearing.
I feel like I wish because that's the thing is I feel like it's getting weighed down with the kid subplot and the Olivia Munn subplot, and if we just had more time with these dudes on the bus and they were like a little less corny, because I don't mind them all having one character trait, and I do like all the actors that they casted in it, but I
also couldn't stop watching them as just, I'm watching Thomas Jane, and I'm watching Key, and I'm watching Game of Thrones, and I'm watching whatever, and I didn't know the other two guys.
But I thought the guy from Moonlight, Kansas or whatever, he was actually pretty good, but
Nebraska.
Yeah.
Damn.
But they were...
Yeah, he was good. He was just acted well.
Yeah,
I had no idea who this
the
man
characters
was,
weren't well written, but they did a good job with it. But I thought they were, like, all a little too... Like, I understand they're all, like, suicidal and they don't have anything... And, like, military brothers and all that stuff. But they were, like, way too quick to be like, oh, hey, you saw an alien? Oh, there's an alien. I guess we should go kill it. Like let's hijack this bus, and part of me was grateful that the movie just realized how ridiculous the plot was, and it almost just kind of fast forwarded through the plot machinations just so you could get to the action stuff. That the movie realizes, I think on some level, how dumb the plot is, and tries, I think that's why there's so many little details that are missing or things that are just quickly mentioned in dialogue, because it really doesn't matter. You know what I mean? It's just
but I agree with you. I agree with you in a sense, but I wish they had just... but they did the opposite. It's like, listen, this story is pretty simple. Let's just...
They made the story more complicated.
Predator, the story is about as simple as it gets. Is just a team in the jungle getting hunted one by one, and then the last guy beats him, right? Yeah. This is insane, where it's like... We've got to get back on the ship. We've got to decode this. Yeah. We have their sample that has spinal fluid. They're hijacking this. Yeah. Oh, that predator is attacking this predator. Where do we fall in that balance of let's team up? I mean,
and every predator since the Schwarzenegger one has made that mistake of trying to complicate the basic conflict with all this other extraneous stuff that really doesn't some of the details are interesting, but you don't need to throw in all of these cliches into a movie like this.
Was this the first time they went down that theory of they're ripping out the spines of these people and then trying to
that was new because for 30 years or whatever the whole idea has been they're trophy sport hunters, right? And now they try to kind of retcon all the canon of Predator, basically, that they were collecting samples so that they could evolve and blah blah.
And they're tangentially related to global warming and
yes.
But when I heard that, that whole aspect of the movie, which is a huge part, is blown past really quickly, but it reminded me a lot of in Jurassic World how they have to have the mega dinosaur that's the combination of all the best dinosaurs, which it's kind of like a meta commentary on the thing that you can't just have the regular predator, we got to have the super duper predator, and it can't just be super duper because we had super duper predators in the last one, so this one's 20 feet tall and it's got dogs, and
because they kind of just do the Indominus predator, basically. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I don't know about you guys, but I absolutely hated the whole Sterling K. Brown, his entire character. And
I thought his character was pointless, but he made me laugh a few times.
Yeah, it just was so tired and exhausted of...
But what did he want? He just wanted the ship, the alien, for what reason?
So or to we could study it, weaponize it. I mean,
they never made that clear, because then she came in and was like, "Oh my God, you have a real predator! I want to study it." And he clearly wants it for some other reason.
But he's sort of the continuation of the horrible Gary Busey character, who's in Predator 2, where they're like, "Listen." I mean, to see Jake Busey in this, I was like, ugh, God.
I mean,
like,
I thought, hey, Jake
when is
Busey
Shasta
needs
McNasty,
the work,
Nasty
man.
coming
That's
back
the first
to
movie
UPN,
I've seen him in
like,
for 20 years.
I mean, but like,
Who is
listen. So he was the
scientist in the lab.
Yeah, like
the blonde dude.
Do you ever see Starship Troopers where he's kind of like? No. All right. So
he looks just like.
I
Gary
really
Busey.
have to strain here to find some to Jake Busey references. For
Tomcats, man. You've never seen the
oh yeah, no, she's never seen Tomcats with Jerry
Maguire.
Jerry
like
O'Connell.
Weird scientist dude that is the first one to meet him.
Yeah. He's like that big, tall, goofy guy that you
Yes.
also can't believe is a scientist.
Yes.
Yeah, because he's not. Yeah.
Yes.
I was like, oh, I wonder what Jake Busey's going to be in this horror. Oh, he's a scientist. Right. No, that makes sense. Oh, perfect. Yeah, no, he's pretty believable. Yeah, what else didn't you like about this S-bomb? I mean,
let me see.
How much did you? Let's see. What else? I did appreciate all the Easter eggs in it. How many did you pick up? Because I mean,
do
the
Easter eggs count
ones,
as like references, like lines that are throwbacks?
Well, no. I mean, I will say, yeah, they'll the throwback / Get to the Choppers.
Yeah, Get to the Choppers was the one that.
God damn
I
you!
didn't hear that one.
God damn
you! What was it? You beautiful son of a bitch, or whatever.
Oh, you beautiful motherfucker! Yeah. From that Olivia Munn says, the whole.
But
I just, the only one I liked, if I can be honest, and I don't know if you picked it up. Did you notice that when he's trick or treating? Did you see it?
No. What was the?
So they had the original horrible concept for the Predator.
The weird
they had
bug
a kid
thing?
dressed up as the weird, all red bug, like walking down the street as the original, the Jean-Claude Van Damme version of the Predator, which I thought was pretty great.
That's great.
And because the whole legend of Jean-Claude Van Damme on the movie, it's like, and it's just if you're into Predator lore, of like the background of the film and stuff. Like this is all stuff. I mean, Ash knows like the back of her hand, that I've explained. But if you don't know, Jean-Claude Van Damme was originally kind of cast as the man in the suit to be Predator.
Mm-hmm. Why?
Well, because Jean-Claude Van Damme
he wasn't famous at
cornered
that point.
Basically. Yeah, well, he was an unknown. This is before Kickboxer and all this and Bloodsport and all this stuff. And so he basically cornered Joel Silver, who's like the producer on the film, and basically like jumped straight up in the air, like 6 feet in the air, and did like a splits in midair, and like blew Joel Silver's mind. He was like, "Holy shit, you're my Predator, I guess." And like, obviously, did not finish out the movie. Like it was marred in like nightmares of like they're down in Mexico filming this movie. The suit is horrible. Like there's all these different legends about how Jean-Claude Van Damme
the deal
either quit or was fired.
He didn't understand because the whole suit was red, so they could key it out to do the invisibility effect. But he didn't understand that. He just thought the whole suit was this giant bug that was also like pinkish red, and like nobody could explain to him that it was gonna be like keyed out or whatever.
Yeah, so I don't know how well he spoke English back then. So it could have been a language barrier issue. So that's one legend. One legend is that Jean-Claude Van Damme hated the suit and like had to be like begged into the suit to try it on because he thought it was such trash. And one legend states that he basically the head of this creature, like the whole suit cost like a fortune apparently, and the head of the monster was like $20,000 or something. And he said, "Fuck this," and just threw it on the ground and shattered this horrible head. And Joel Silver was like, "You'll never work in this business again," like the classic, like, "You'll never work in this town again" kind of thing. Fires him. Another legend was like that he had creative differences, and he saw, shocking, the Predator is more of like a kickboxing Predator. So he wanted more like hand-to-hand combat where like he was like shucking and jiving and duking his way out and like kickbox. Like the original concept of Predator was more like a monkey swinging in the trees kind of jungle type, which is awful.
Yeah, that would have been. But I mean, so all this goes to make me think that there will never be a good Predator movie because the Predator was one of those magic movies that just kind of like a fluke. Like a bunch of good things happened to come together. like kind of like Star Wars or something like that. Like,
yeah, I mean, the in the one that I choose to believe, the best legend is that apparently Jean-Claude Van Damme got so hot in the suit that he kept passing out, and so they would have him on wires, so he's like swinging through the trees and everything. And so, like, one time, apparently, like, as legend goes, like, this is someone, like, there's a few different versions of this, but Joel Silver was like, Jean-Claude, if you pass out one more time, you're fired. And he passed out one more time, and they were like, sorry, buddy, you're fired. You know what I mean? So, like, they, and if you don't know, like, they basically had to shut down production for, like, 6 months, I think.
And then they had
they went
ship
back.
it out to...
Yep. The Stan Winston came on, and he did the whole thing. And they had to come back and basically reshoot, like, the third act, because that's the most, like, Predator heavy with the suit. If you think about it, go back and watch Predator, like, there's not a lot of the actual Predator that is engaging with other people and stuff. You know what I mean? Like, you could have easily kind of reshot that. So, like, the stuff, the third act is basically, super, super, like, Predator heavy, as we know, right? And just, so Stan Winston had to, like, take, like, 6 months with the help of James Cameron. Legend says, James Cameron was sitting next to him on a flight, and Stan Winston was sketching out the designs, and James Cameron leaned over and was like, oh, you should have, like, mandibles coming out of his face and, like, have him look like a crab bug or some such nonsense. So that, as legend goes, kind of James Cameron of Terminator and Alien and Aliens.
The first Predator is the one with Arnold Schwarzenegger, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh,
okay.
Yeah, that's
just making sure I'm thinking of the very first one.
A buddy of mine actually, and this is like a pretty well-known story, but he was telling me the other day, actually, because he's an older guy, but he interned for the company that was contracted out, that the first company, I think they were called, like, Core or Power, like some whatever company did all the special effects suit stuff and makeup before Winston's guys came on or something. And they were saying that the actor who played Billy, kind of like the tracker, was just, like, apparently an absolute nightmare on set, and would get, like, just rip roaring drunk and go into town and basically just get into bar fights and drink and, like, assault women, basically. Like, he'd basically get, like, shit-faced and crawl around on the floor and, like, kiss women's legs and stuff, and, like, tons of crazy stuff. So, like, they had to hire a guy that was, like, bigger than him
to, like, keep him in line.
To, like, they basically, like, hired a guy to be his, like, personal, like, babysitter.
Wow.
Yeah, because he just was. He's no longer with us, so I don't want to speak ill of the dead. But
Billy is no longer with us.
Rest in peace. Yeah,
I thought he didn't he run for, like, Senate or something like that, or some sort of political thing?
He was like an Alaskan state representative or something like that, I thought. Maybe.
Yeah,
but
but he passed away.
Yeah, he's as far as I know. I apologize if he's still living. I think he's good. But
Predator finally got him.
So we just love the Predator. You know what I mean? And it breaks our damn hearts out here to you know what I mean? And another fun story. Shane Black, who famously kind of directed this one and was kind of famously in the first one. He basically, everyone kind of knows the story of him doing the rewrite and all that stuff and punching it up and everything, but he didn't want to do it. He just wanted to be an actor in the film, and they basically killed him off so that they could reduce the amount of time he was in the film, so that he was forced to do rewrites and stuff.
Right, so he could focus on the writing aspect.
Well, either as punishment or as kind of now you can rewrite because you're going to die in the first, 10 minutes,
Who is he?
So he's he's Hawkins. He's the one with the big glasses. He gets killed first.
That's really early.
Yeah.
Do you know if they, in the original, the setting where they were filming at, was it kind of rugged in the jungle? Because I could imagine if it's just you and a bunch of guys in kind of a tense shit show scenario for months on end, and you're in the jungle, you'd kind of start to go crazy after a while. Or, you hear about that in war movies a lot of the time.
Yeah, I don't know much about where they were, but, they, apparently like the Mexican workers who were like kind of like the grunt labor on set and stuff thought they were all like insane. Like they were like, what is this movie gonna be? Like, you've got a giant ant dude like running around, you've got like Carl Weathers freaking, you know, Arnold Schwarzenegger, you got miniguns, you got explosions, and you got like this Ant-Man creature like running around. Like, they all thought it was insane.
Yeah.
And like it went way behind schedule. I think they were there like, he only had like half the movie shot after like 60 days.
Oh, God.
Can you imagine? Like, and those are jungle days.
Right.
You know what I mean? So
Of this one or the first
That
one?
first
the
one.
first one. Yeah, they were deep in that jungle. You know, so
You notice how we've like talked about the
good.
first one for the last 20 minutes instead of this movie?
Yeah, I mean,
think that
it's
speaks
much
to,
better and it's more
Yeah,
entertaining.
it speaks to the quality of this movie.
Yeah, you know, I just the whole. I hated the revisions. I hated the, you know, the
Obvious sequel setups and
Yeah.
the, you know.
Yeah, you know, was there any?
I thought there was
there
some
any,
okay set pieces and stuff. Like that was the thing, is like I thought the movie was just an excuse to get from set piece to set piece, and there was a lot of crap, but there was like something every once in a while. Like, I'm not saying it makes it worth it to see or makes it a worthy Predator sequel or any of that sort of stuff, but for how much people were shitting on the movie, I was surprised it wasn't worse. Not saying it was that good at all, but I actually liked it a little bit better than Predators, which is also not saying much, but
See, I disagree with you there. I thought that was an interesting take.
it's an interesting
where
concept.
they kind of turned it on its head.
Yeah,
but you don't, execution-wise, you didn't like
well,
it.
that's the thing, is I thought it was a great concept. I actually think most of the Predator sequels and whatnot have good concepts, but the execution tends to be where it falls flat on its face. And Predators, I thought, like, the first, 40 minutes or so is great, until about when the time Lawrence Fishburne shows up, and then the movie just
listen,
tanks.
it's not without its flaws.
And
the Lawrence Fishburne subplot is pretty awful.
And I hated the design.
The Topher Grace twist
Topher Grace
is awful.
was so miscast, and like I hated the design of the new Predators in that one. So even though I didn't really like the design of the Predator in this one, I thought it was an upgrade from the ones from last one. So that's the thing, is just when you have no expectations, they're never going to make another good Predator movie, because it just needs to be Arnold and a Predator kicking each other in the nuts for like 2 hours.
Yeah, and he wisely sidestepped this one.
Yeah, this is the
You know what
second
I mean?
Predator movie where they're trying to get him to cameo at the end, because they were trying to do that for the last one as well, and he keeps saying, no, I'm good.
No thanks, I'm
Which
good.
is pretty bad.
Oh,
He sells out pretty hard.
By the way, I'm busy with Terminator 4.
Yeah, I know, exactly. Like, how many Terminator movies has he shown up in, and he can't do, like, one line in Predator, so...
It's so funny how, like, he like, I don't know what it is. Maybe he's scarred for life from doing it, but, like, I know Predator's not the Terminator.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But, like...
That's, like, one of his bigger properties, though.
Yeah,
like, that's
like,
top
but,
3,
I mean,
I'd say.
Yeah, you know, I mean, Kindergarten Cop, you know, some of the classics, you know, but, like,
yeah.
Predator, for me, you know, he'll always be Conan, he'll always be the Terminator, but, you know, I don't know why he kind of hasn't kind of given more adoration and love. Like, I mean, he must get tons and tons of, you know, Predator. He's got some good lines. I mean, Get to the Chopper is his most
and
iconic
and
line,
how many
I'd
times
argue.
has he said "I'll be back" and like jokey puns
I
and
know.
all of the Terminator
I think it's
sequels?
right on. Get to the Chopper. Everyone knows what that is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's I'll be back. You know, it's been done. You know, it's up there.
Yeah, but he said
It's not a tumor.
Yeah, this is not a tumor.
It's right up there. If it bleeds, we can kill it. I mean, he's got some good ones in there.
Yeah.
And then what else has he got? I'm trying to think of some good Conan ones.
Oh, Conan?
The Lamentations of the
Right,
Women.
right.
You know what I mean? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, so, I mean, just damn. Give it some love.
Yeah.
Give it some love. But are you excited for the setup of the sequel that will never come to be?
I mean,
where they give us an Iron Man suit that's the goddamn Predator.
I mean, I was fully just like, okay, that we're in full idiot mode now, but like, you know, the only direction I think they can go with it to make it interesting is to give humans Predator tech, and honestly, I feel like the glimpse at whatever that suit was so quick, I can't really make that much of a judgment on it yet. But yeah, I think all this is moot. They're probably gonna just trash this movie and wait another 10 years and try to reboot it again. But
I think that's the way to
Yeah.
go. I mean, I can't even begin to understand the logic of, like, let's just walk it out. What would one man in an Iron Man Predator suit be capable of? Stopping
they had that thing where
army of Predators?
Like how many shoulder cannons does it have? Because it had little targets on like 20 people's heads.
It better have over 100, I guess. I don't know.
Of shoulder cannons, I had a real beef with the way they killed Sterling K. Brown, because I had to like...
They really just aced him in 2 seconds.
But that just like, that had to be like one of those reshoot things, because I didn't realize, like, at the end of the movie, I was like, he just disappeared, and I had to like rethink about it. And I was like, oh, he shot himself in the head. And it was like a 2-second shot. Like,
did he shoot himself?
Yeah, because he has the Predator's shoulder cannon. And then, I could be wrong.
Oh, right. He, like, turns it and fires him and blasts his own head off.
Yeah, but, like, the shot is literally a second and a half. And it's like, that, like, it's so... And why would you design a shoulder cannon like that? Like, it's just so dumb.
Well, it's like one of those old timey planes where the guy's shooting out his own propellers.
Yeah, where you kill your co-pilot.
Shit, I shot my own tail. My own tail flaps out. Damn. Like, even that technology existed that stopped that from happening.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But like, nah, you turn your neck too much to the left.
Where did he get the fucking shoulder cannon from?
Yeah.
I thought it was something he stole from one of the Predators.
Well, yeah, he was wearing it, and then he's asking a 9-year-old in the woods how to use it.
Yeah.
He's like,
how did he asked how to use the helmet? How does the helmet work?
Right.
And he goes,
that was another thing that was preposterous.
That's
like me shoving a motorcycle helmet onto my dog, or like Google Glass on my dog, and then he's just like engaging and searching for stuff. Like,
it just doesn't work.
A child does not. Yeah, you don't put your head into the Predator thing, and then you start seeing the Matrix, and it's like, I get it.
I just hate people treating like actual disorders as superpowers, like to this degree. Like, once again, I get it. We're doing 80s movie.
They try to circle back, and Olivia Munn's
the next evolution of mankind. Like, no, he's not an X-Men. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
well, listen, I want to apologize. I want to distance myself from whatever comments you're making.
No, I mean, I'm not saying. I'm just saying it's disrespectful to people that actually have those disorders. You know what I mean? So, and not saying that they can't, but I just think like it's like, oh, okay, he has this disorder, so he's gonna be able to learn this alien language in 10 minutes.
Well, they really appropriated his ability.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say disability. That's your words, not mine. It's an interesting... it went an interesting direction.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I went, oh, cool, he's a savant. Not an idiot savant, as they were called for so long. I was like, oh, fascinating. He's got a photographic memory. Yeah. He resets the chessboards. Seems pretty bothered by loud, startling noises.
Except when
you take your walk home and your route every damn day is walking by the same dog that starts screaming at you.
Or what about gunfire that's around you for like the whole last third of the movie? He didn't seem bothered by that at all.
Well, he had to nut up or shut up and just kind of deal with the Predator at that point, I think, So yeah, there was a lot of inconsistencies, but it's neither here nor there.
I'm glad they took a direction and it wasn't just a part of the story, that this was just a shitty father who clearly doesn't want to have to deal with his son.
Still mailed the shit back to...
Yeah, with no letter, no nothing. I was like, that's special. He said he mailed it to the P.O. box that he stopped paying for.
Right.
Therefore, it went to the house. He's like, I sent it to the P.O. box, so... And I'm like, everyone knows whoever shipped anything... That kind of shit doesn't go to a P.O. box. A giant fucking box.
I'm amazed it made it through customs.
Yeah,
especially with all those super sketchy, like, it took, like stickers for, like, Tijuana and every shitty Central American country.
Well, it was packed with bags of white rice and stuff. And, probably it said not a flamethrower on it, so went right through.
I missed
no,
that.
It didn't say that. That's an Elon Musk joke. That's Elon Musk made flamethrowers, and then he was like, "Well, I can't ship them because you can't ship flamethrowers," so he just put on the boxes not a flamethrower. And then they just went, "Oh, okay." Like the customs agents were like, So just, if you're a drug dealer out there, just put not cocaine on your white powdery substances that go through the mail, and you'll be fine. But yeah, no, it's preposterous, the whole thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Any other final thoughts?
Not really. I mean, I didn't. I've had worse times at the movies this year. I'd say, like I said, I've been disappointed.
Well, you see a lot of.
I see the same movies you see, mofo.
Yeah, well, that's true, but your tastes are a little bit more like adventurous than mine in a certain way. Right. Where I've got to consider like, oh, I got to bring Nash to this.
Right.
You know what I mean? So like, I can't be living on the edge quite as much as you.
Right. No, I get you. But I'd say I was more disappointed by Ready Player One or something like that. But it was not fantastic. It's another fairly forgettable entry into the along with the rest of them. So I'd say it's like on par with the other two though. So
yeah. No, I'd agree. I think my, Predator holds such a place in my heart that I held it to a standard that is impossible, much like the awful Star Wars movies that are a scourge on humanity.
Wow. Tell us how you really feel, Dave.
There you go. Yeah, exactly. Well, no, I love Star Wars, so, I mean, just to see those movies.
But so you finally hit the point where you realize that Star Wars will never be the thing that you used to cherish, and like, have you hit the point where you just kind of have given up on the prospect of them ever being good?
Yeah, no, for sure.
Like, yeah,
for sure.
Yeah.
I just I've come resigned to that. But listen, I don't want this to segue into I hate the Last Jedi. I mean, that's fair.
Come on, we're gonna get so much hate comments from this. You might as well pile on the rest.
Oh God.
I mean, if you go in with no expectations, like I did.
Yeah.
Ash, pretty fine.
I thought it was fine, other than the fact that the story was very herky-jerky and the giant chop in the plot stories were jarring.
Yeah.
But the action was cool to watch. Yes, the giant predator looked like shit, but I don't know. Overall, I don't know. I wouldn't not recommend someone to see it, but if they're fans like you guys, I can understand why it's such a letdown.
Yeah. I would say, like, give this a red box. You know what I mean? And even if you hate watching it, drink some beers and, make fun of it with your friends, and then you'll be good.
Yeah.
I would take a shot every time Thomas Jane is made fun of for his other naturedly abilities and disabilities. I'd say Tourette syndrome is pretty brutal. You know what I mean? So they made some good fun of that one. You know what I mean? So, whatever. But, and then the Olivia Munn... That brutal scene, the doorway scene where Olivia Munn is...
was it You're So Pushy? Or whatever.
Yeah.
That was a little uncomfortable.
It just went on for like 10 seconds. That whole scene
was a little weird. I don't
They never even...
People are saying that made me very uncomfortable.
They never even said he had Tourette's. They just were like trying to pretend like he didn't say it.
I think they they give everyone that weird intro in the beginning where it's like, state your name and your one character trait for the stranger immediately.
But not to her. Yeah. Oh, did they do that with her?
Oh, no.
His name's Squelch.
Squelch.
He was a helicopter pilot.
Yeah.
Now he sits in the corner and here's the zany religious guy. He's the oh God. All right. The only scene I found funny in the entire film was when she's trying to kill them with a shotgun and they're gambling on it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that was it. Funny.
Yeah.
That was it. I think that was literally the only thing that I found enjoyment of.
Yeah.
All right. Well, what do we got coming up next? So we've got
a lot of movies.
We've got a lot of movies coming out, that are sure to disappoint.
Yeah.
And then, as they do. And then, so we've got Hold the Dark. When is that coming out? The 28th on Netflix?
Yeah, I believe so. And I think something it's a Netflix only sort of thing.
So that's going to be in our series of reading books and then poorly remembering them and then comparing them to the oftentimes horrible adaptation.
Yeah.
So
I got the feeling this
you know,
one's going to be
keep an eye
pretty
on
close to the source material.
You think so? Yeah. I mean, how far are you into
I actually finished it like last week, but it's
you're way ahead of the curve.
Yeah, I happened to I read it on my cell phone too, and I really don't recommend that for anyone because it's a terrible way.
You read it like read it like on a Kindle, but on your cell phone.
Yeah, like that's the thing is like I have an iPad, but like a dumbass, I think my iPad is like dead. I can't find it's just not charging, so I read it on my phone, but like when you get notifications every 5 minutes and it's just like a constant distraction and everything, it takes you a while. But I thought the book was pretty good. It's very dark. It struck me, kind of reminds me of like No Country for Old Men. And
yeah, I was gonna say it's very Cormac McCarthy.
Yeah.
It's very brutal. It's descriptive.
Yeah, and it reads like a movie a little
know.
bit. So I could see them, like I could see him reading the book and being like, "Holy shit, this can be my No Country for Old Men," and I'm just gonna like adapt it as closely to the source material as possible.
Yeah, it's not getting great buzz.
Yeah,
because I think it premiered at TIFF, and it's not getting great buzz. But I assume because the director, I can't remember his name.
Jeremy Saulnier, I think.
There you go. So I mean, director of Blue Ruin, Green Room. He has a certain brand of absolutely kind of like brutal films, and they're just not for everybody.
Yeah.
And this is a book that is gonna just
it's gonna up the brutal factor, I think.
Yep. So this is very much in his kind of wheelhouse. Yeah. You know, and we'll kind of get into it in our review, but it's basically kind of about I'm just gonna give it a very kind of
a woman's child is
little
abducted by wolves, and a scientist wolf expert has to come help her get the wolf.
He comes out to a very remote village in Alaska to kind of help her get some closure by trying to track down the wolf, and things go awry.
Things happen,
and things are not what they appear to be, if you will. So yeah, it's an interesting book. I think I'm pretty close to. I'd say it's 3/4 through, but it's not long. It's only like, I don't know how many pages it is because I'm on that Audible jam, but I think it was about an 8-hour listen or something like that.
Something like that.
Oh, are you gonna hop into it?
Why not?
It's a soul crushing book. I'm sure Ash is sure to enjoy it.
Yeah,
and so keep an eye on that one. That's coming in a few weeks once it drops on Netflix. Yeah. But thank you guys so much for listening. Ash did see a simple favor the other day, so she may do a little review. It was kind of a potential Ash trash with Ash option, but she said it not too trashy. It wasn't bad enough to warrant being part of her series of her watching absolute trash movies.
It got upgraded.
Ironically, The Predator probably more closely associates with that whole kind of side of branding and content. Wow. So, but it is what it is. We'll be back or not. But thank you guys so much for listening. Please check us out on thedisorderly.com. You can find us on Twitter at Disorderly Media. You can find us on Facebook at Disorderly ENT. And as always, thank you guys so much for listening. Please like, share, subscribe, and we'll talk to you later. Thanks.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.